monster is coming back.
It seems every year we can't go a year without Gohan doing something. Even in Daima, where Gohan is not actually present, Legends will find a way to make him relevant. In recent news, Dragon Ball Legends have announced there is 2 units getting a platinum equipment, and it seems very apparent that it's going to be Super Saiyan 2 Gohan and Android 17, both Legends Limiteds. Honestly, they're both as threatening as each other, but for different reasons. But specifically Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, if you are an OG player, you will know how threatening this guy is. More than anything we've seen in recent times, in his prime, the game was in a whole completely different state, so what he was able to do with just one blast arts outplays anything that we've seen in the last 3 years, and I kid you not, it's that devastating. Of course, a platinum equipment's not gonna make him the guy he was back then, I'd hope, but the Legends devs, when it comes to Gohan, we truly don't know. But in this video, I'll split this in 2 halves. We're gonna talk about Super Saiyan 2 Gohan potentially becoming a menace because they've been releasing some insane platinum equipments, and then in the second half, we'll talk about Android 17, the MVP, and what they could do for him, also what value he could bring based on the platinum equipment he would be getting. Of course, at the time I'm making this video, neither is confirmed, but the art in the image pretty much show that they are going to be the ones. So take this whole video with a grain of salt regardless, but expect danger. Let's get into this. Right, so we're going to be focusing on Super Saiyan 2 Gohan's kit, the Zenkai portion, because that's the most updated version that we have of his kit. So let's focus on this right now. If we scroll down, the main ability, it's very small. You get the ult, you get health and ki, then you go type neutral. In its prime, that was enough, but that's not going to be enough right now. First unique ability. It might seem plain and it can easily be tweaked, but this was insane. 40% damage inflicted every time a battle member is defeated, and there's no timer counts on it, so it's just 80% if your last stand. Then you also get 100% ultimate damage if an allied Taxon family is defeated, sorry. So I believe this applies per, so you'd be able to get 280%, but if I'm wrong on that, someone fact check me. Crazy work. Second unique ability, turn regret into power, so just cost going down. Damage received from tag regeneration, so he won't be taking as much damage from regen characters. And here, damage inflicted for 20 time counts every time he uses a blast arts. 4 blast arts, that's straight up 80% damage inflicted, which is easy to get off, and imagine you do that into an ultimate, that's crazy. Here, the third one, inherited power, 30% blast damage against regeneration, so he's stacking blast damage here. He's also gonna straight up do base damage against regen. Regen could not survive around this guy. Here, applies the following effects to allies per hybrid or Sun family battle member. So he's also a support unit helping his team out, which is very, very good. And then the last thing here is not large, but applies the following effects to self when 2 allied characters are defeated, restores health by 20%, plus 30% to damage inflicted cannot be cancelled, and then this bit, when you're faced with an enemy, he's going to get damage inflicted as well. So he's just a damage inflicted merchant. He's a demon when it comes to damage inflicted, and that's pretty much it. You can see the Z abilities here, the Zenkai abilities, these have been here, so I'm not even going to touch on them too much, but they're actually really pretty good. Not the best, but they're pretty good. Specifically, I want to touch on his green card. So here, Unleash Rage. You see he gets, if health 50% more, he's going to get blast damage, but if it's low, he's going to get even more blast damage. The blue card, it's nothing of the crazy, this needs a major buff. Then the ultimate arts here, plus 50% damage inflicted for 20 timer counts, and then he also nullifies endurance and he has blast armor. So the amount of damage inflicted this guy just stacks is going to be crazy, and it's probably going to be more. But let's talk about how they could upgrade this kit. So the main things that I would want to see in Super Saiyan 2 Gohan if they were to make him better from the platinum equipment. Now remember, this is a platinum equipment, so they're not directly changing anything in his unique abilities, which is a shame, but it's how it's going to work out. So if they're going to do that, they can only add things, they can't really change the lines. So if something happens, they can make something else happen in addition, and they can make that thing that happens become uncancelable. So unless they add some sort of new mechanic that we've never seen before, we're just going to assume that they're just going to add things on top because it's the platinum equipment and not a whole new Zenkai where they upgrade the kit. As a base, he needs a lot more stats. So even though he can stack a lot, he needs a lot more at a base level to compete. That's very important to keep him in the running. I will also add, if he doesn't get that, he won't be able to compete. He'll be a unit that snowballs, and by the time he gets to the peak damage that he can be doing, it's already too late. So at his base, he needs to be able to compete, which is very, very integral to any unit nowadays. The second thing, just standard, he needs cover null. Any unit nowadays needs cover null. All these platinum equipment units be getting it some way, shape or form. If Super Saiyan 2 Gohan gets that, he will also be able to compete without any worry on the opposition. position. He'll also be the type that can't be cancelled very easily or at all, which is very, very good for Super Saiyan 2 Gohan. So make sure to add that cover no. That will help him out a lot. Now, honestly, I don't know if they do this, but he needs some sort of healing or survivability. I would hope they don't give him survivability because Gohan's got a lot. So I just say give him the thing that they gave Ultra Super Gogeta and Rose. When his health gets pretty low, he just heals. That would be alright, and they make it happen a bunch. If it's endurance, that would be overwhelming in my opinion, and it could make him too dangerous, especially considering the team that he has surrounding him. Specifically Son family, Hybrid Saiyans 2, based on the fact that his kit is restricted that way to get the maximum amount of benefits, but not wholly. People might just run him on the leader slot if his damage is already crazy, and if he comes with survivability, that's also taxing. If they do decide to give him survivability, they should make it tag restricted, so maybe Hybrid Saiyans or something. They've been avoiding restricting characters' kits, and I don't actually like when they restrict characters' kits, but with Gohan's, I think it's something that should be happening. I think the final thing they should give him is, of course, card draw speed. Card draw speed would be more than enough to just keep him in the running. If he can draw more cards, he'll be able to stack, but of course they're not changing his kit. But I have one more thing I want to say to this overall section when it comes to upgrading Super Saiyan 2 Gohan. I would hope they just do something to make his base kit slightly better. So I don't know how they're going to go about writing this text in his unique equipment, but goddamn, there's stuff in there that needs to be uncancelable. Maybe add timer counts to it. They could easily just better his kits, and if they do that, it would make the worlds different, but they can only do that through the platinum equipment because they're only releasing a platinum equipment. So how would they do that? I hope they find a way. I'm basically saying we're gonna see something that we haven't seen before, or I'd hope we do, rather, not actually stamping it in the ground. This is all speculation and just my ideas for now, but those things I think are the biggest things that he could benefit from. If they just give him the stats, the amount of damage he'll be able to do is absolutely absurd, and he's a blast type unit, makes him pair nicely with Ultra Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, and their elements also match. Green protects the red from the blue very nicely. So we got Legends Limited MVP here, and honestly there's a lot to go through, but I don't want to go through anything. I just want to give you a general idea on what he does for a lot of guys that don't know, and if you've forgotten, this is a good refresher. So let's really just go through. So here in his main ability, he's just going to draw the ultimate, gets Ki and HP, that's standard, but cover no is very effective. So depending on when you time it, you can get 30 timer counts of cover no. Of course, draw speed is a nice factor too. This guy does damage against fusion warriors, blast damage specifically, and then he has most of the things that new gen units have, you know, the damage inflicted, the reduced damage inflicted, but he's also immune to some things and attributes it to allies, which is obviously super impactful. Here he's gonna get blast and Ki, blast card and Ki, which is super nice. He's very supportive of his teammates, you know, that's why I emphasized him as a support unit. He's very useful in doing that. Even though I believe he's the range type, he's literally the anchor for every single team. He keeps the team stabilized, and it's crazy how valuable he was in his prime. Lasted a whole year, which is crazy. Now, one of his best gimmicks is that when he does a vanish, he's able to get his vanish back, which is nice, 80%, which pretty much allows it to fill up to 100%. Now with the back floating nerf, you know, I don't know how impactful this could be, but most people just stood still anyways and would be able to take advantage of it, so that's also useful. Increases the damage inflicted for allies for rising rushes, which is also crazy. And then down here, if we're just looking at everything, I think the biggest thing is that the buff cancellation that everybody knows. So here, the following effects occur every time special move and this line here, special move ultimate rising rush, you know, the typical stuff. It's the stuff that annoys you. So it's this line here that I want to point out the most, but then obviously this line here is also useful because allies being healed and attribute downgrade for the enemy, so they're just being able to do less damage overall. That crutch for the team, making the enemies weaker but also keeping your team stabilized. Now in terms of his art cards, not much I really want to point out, but last card can give him draw speed. Key recovery here is nice, so overall he can keep comboing pretty long. People really underrate his offensive power in some cases. Here, his green card here, if unique gauge is full, he's gonna actually support his team, which is super nice. So universe rep and android, which is really nice. The blue card here draws a green card next, which is really valuable, which I just explained. Then he has the ultimate arts as well, which could also do damage because it reduces the enemy sustained damage card. That's the main things in his kit. That nice application for your team, support layer, anchor, whatever you want to call him. He's super nice. Now with MVP 17, I feel like the biggest issues is that literally he never got any type of support for himself. He does all the work for his team, but he didn't get anything himself. He had no Zenkai buffers that are actually good, and he didn't have anything else to give him buffs. So he's dishing out everything for his team, but he didn't get anything for himself. And because of that, I think he just needs the stats to keep up and make him refreshed. But that wouldn't be good. I think that would make him very, very short-lived, and we don't want that. A lot of these units are getting advanced, and going forward to the anniversary, things are just going to get bigger. I feel like this does hint towards a Ultra MUI with the universe rep later in the anniversary. But the main things I want to point out is that if this guy just gets stats, knowing that his kit is already super valuable, it won't be enough because it will last for a certain amount of time, then the power creep will just backdoor him. And we don't want that. So we want to give him something that gives him that slight bit of an edge, and this is what I thought of. So on top of the base stats, I'll just mention the base stats, give him the base stats so he can at least be up to date. I was talking about that's not the only thing he should get, but if he gets too much, then he'll be too good. So we still want him to be good, so give him the base stats so he can compete. That's number one first and foremost. Number two, he needs to have something that gives him that slight edge. Even if he does fall off, it still gives him that application to be put on a team. And I think the healing factor, similar to Ultra Super Goji and Goku Black Rose, is very, very useful. If he was to heal every single time his health goes below 50%, he heals maybe 25%, that would be a big, big help, because he's going to be that unit that needs to stay alive to be of a big asset to his team. He's most impactful when alive anyways, so that will keep him alive. Even if his damage falls off, he's still able to stay alive because he's able to heal. He already has endurance and the buff cancellation, so that's already an asset to keep him alive as well, but we want to secure that, strengthen his already strong points. This might be ridiculous, but with the float nerf, I think the final thing they should add is making his 80% vanish recovery when his gauge is full so that he can vanish 100%. Just give him the extra 20%. It would make him a lot more effective. And with the back float nerf in PvP, where you can't back float without losing a bit of your vanish gauge, even though it fills up pretty quickly, it would give him that slight edge over everybody else, pretty much giving him that double vanish, which is 1+ on top of everybody else. And I think that would be nice, and that will make him last a long time because it makes him skill orientated while also being that survivability factor for his team, supporting his team as we know he did in his prime. Now these two units link directly to Ultra MUI, and I'm not putting it out there as a concrete fact. It's still never 100% until we see it, unless it gets leaked. But mainly I want to point out to the fact that the anniversary is going to be big. I've been pushing this in almost every video that I do, and look at this, it's universe rep and a Son family unit. What more do you want, bro? Ultra MUI is definitely on the way. They're trying to put up the pieces. You could also just attribute this to Cell Saga, of course, but there's future investments being here. Two things can be true, but more than anything, just remember this is speculation until it's confirmed, probably tomorrow. But I am interested to see what the future holds. That's going to be it for the video. Let me know what you guys thought below in the comment section. Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, do you think he needs more than I mentioned? And MVP 17, do you think he needs more than I mentioned? Maybe less for both characters. Let me know. But hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. If you haven't already, make sure to press the subscribe button. We're on this grind to 200,000 subscribers. I appreciate you guys for watching, man. My name is Zakashi, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one, man.